very good afternoon to each one of you.
Good
On behalf
afternoon.
of Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we welcome each one of you to this webinar on selection of machine tool. The objective of today's session is to facilitate metal cutting machine tools users know how to select the right machine tool at the right application. This session is being organized under the aegis of Manufacturing Expert Committee of BCIC. We would like to especially thank Mr. Prakash G, Chair, Mr. Ramesh, Co-Chair, and Dr. S. Devarajan, Mentor of the Expert Committee, and also like to specially thank Mr. Shiv Ganesh, Member of the Committee, for curating this session for the benefit of our members. The speaker for today's session is Mr. Balramaya, Director, Advanced Machine Tool Testing Facility, a nodal agency established with the support of Government of India, IMTMA, and CMTI. On behalf of the Chamber, we would like to express our sincere thanks to Mr. Balramaya for accepting our invitation to address on this important subject. We
Thank
also
you.
like to thank all the participants for joining today's session. We request all the participants to kindly mute your mic and webcam option. This will enhance and keep the bandwidth strong as well as avoid any disturbance in the background. Please post your questions in the chat box only. The speaker will respond to the question during the session. May I now invite Mr. Prakash to set the context and also moderate today's session. Thanking you all once again. May I now invite Mr. Prakash Ji. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Prithvi. So once again, very good afternoon to all the participants and the members of BCIC. To start the session, I would like to start with my slide, sharing the real agenda of today's thing. Already, Mr. Prithvi has given the brief about it. So this is one of the series of workshop which BCIC is conducting for the benefit of the BCIC members and the industry at large. So this is a workshop on selection of machine tools, and I would like to thank Mr. Balramaya. I will be introducing him now to the audience. And before that, I would like to give a brief on the BCIC. BCIC has got about 800 total membership, varying from all types of industries, from micro, small, medium, and large industries. And it, of course, ranges from pharmaceutical industry, automobile, aerospace, FMCG. It consists of everything. So the background of this machine tool, of course, machine tool is a kind of the base for many of the industries. So this kind of a workshop, I believe, will be very, very helpful for most of the users. And rather than relying just on the what the machine tool makers offers, it is it's a of course a common sense that the user also should know how to select machines. So today's session, I think, will be very useful. So for to do that, we have Mr. Y. Balramaya, uh, the director of the AMTTF. So I am doing the introduction right now, and Mr. Balramaya's introduction is that he has about he's a director, and he's been serving the manufacturing industry for the last several years to improve their product quality, implementation of test methods and protocols as per the relevant BIS and ISO standards. And as you know, the AMTTF, Advanced Machine Tool Testing Facility, is a nodal agency established with the support of Government of India, IMTMA and CMTI, and equipped with all the latest test facilities for testing, troubleshooting, problem solving for machine tools. And Mr. Balramaya has been kind of a pillar in trying to establish this facility. He has about 40 years of experience. He is a postgraduate in design and production of machine tools from Regional Engineering College, Warangal, and he specializes in testing of machine tools for their performance as per the national and international standards. And of course, he has been carrying out a lot of consultancy projects. And one of the uniqueness of his capability is that basically the protocols with acceptance criteria for performance evaluation of CNC machines where the relevant standards are not available. This is very, very important. Many of the people, of course, when you have standards, everybody just follows that. But wherever there are no standards, he is there to help, and he is able to come out with clear protocols. He also represents IMTMA as member of BIS sectional committees and various other forums. As I think already Prithvi mentioned, the basic rules for all the participants is to keep your mic and the webcam muted. And of course, you can post your queries in the chat box. You can unmute and switch on camera if you wish to ask questions only during Q&A sessions. Now with this, I now call upon Balramaya to uh, take over the session. But before that, I had to one more person to be introduced. Mr. Balramaya also has Mr. T.K. Venkatesh. He has joined the AMTTF recently. Mr. Venkatesh is about 16 years experience from AMS and he's got a long stint at HMT as well. Now, Mr. Venkatesh
Good morning, everybody.
yeah, Mr. Venkatesh will be a kind of person who will give a perspective from the various customer service point of view. So with that, I now hand it over to Mr. Balramaya. Over to you, Mr. Balramaya. I'll now
Thank you.
share.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. And good afternoon to all of you. I think you have given an introduction about my background, what I am basically in this field for the last 40 years. Now, I think I welcome all of you for this small session, especially what I can share with you knowledge, what I have got in machine tools. I am basically a testing man, having experience in testing and performance evaluation for the last 30, 40 years. And in the process, we also know how machine tool should behave in whatever respective category they need to do. So I'll just have some slides with me to project you what are things you have to consider to select a machine. Otherwise, what happens, you will be unnecessarily selecting a bigger machine or maybe smaller machine or bigger power machine or smaller power machine, which may not be required for our application of what we are looking for. So I try to have my experience and close with the theory or whatever the slides we have made. Let us see how it goes further. Can I share my slides?
Yes, you can start sharing now.
You are able to see my first slide?
No, you have to first go to this. On the top left corner, there is one arrow markup.
1 minute, let me check.
Top on the right corner, next to the leave button, there is one arrow markup.
Where is the leave button? Where is the leave button I'm saying?
Top right.
No, it is not there, no. Bunny? I'm not finding privacy policy. Where to share this screen?
There is one, you have unmuted mic. Next to mic, there is one share.
Yeah, I got it.
And then you have to share the screen.
Desktop. Yeah. No, our file. It is there. Open that. The bottom one open it. I open it. Share is not. Yeah, share. Done. Okay, is it clear now? You are able to see?
Yeah, I think you can put on the slideshow.
Yeah, I'll put a full screen.
Yeah, now we can see. Please go ahead.
You want to join? You can join. Okay. Anyway, good afternoon. Welcome to all the participants. Okay. Now the topic asked me to present certain facts about selection of machine tools. I just go through some slides. If you see first slide, what you need is our modern production demands very big, high tolerances, tighter geometrical forms, and shorter production times. These are the major requirement of all our production factories. And we also require a stable and reliable process, which generally influenced by our machine performance, our working conditions like ambient conditions, and also the cutting process. So that means these are the major requirements what to require for us to meet the component or our production demands. Now, if you see this slide, you see about 5-6 machines. All the machines look same. All may have the same specifications, but the performance of all is not same. That is because of the technology science involved in developing these products by the OEMs. So before we select any machine, we should have some knowledge about what OEM does in their machine, what way performance it meets our requirement. I just give an example for this because there are a lot of technology undergone by different OEM to build that machine. For example, spindle speeds, temperature, high speeds, high material removal rates. Like there's so many features what they built inside, temperature compensation. So these we should have some knowledge about it before we select one machine, otherwise we may be in a wrong track. Now, to select a proper machine tool for our application, we need to have some knowledge about the machine tool. Machine tool means, what it contains, what it does for us. Otherwise, what happens, you will be into a wrong track. Now, let us see what knowledge we require. Minimum, need not be expert in this, but at least the person who is trying to select a machine tool for his application should have some knowledge about these things. One is the process knowledge, other one is the construction design of machine tool, what you are going to select. See, when you come back to process, we should know before selecting whether what accuracy I need for my component, what preciousness I need for my component. That actually affected by vibration levels, staticity points, and dynamic stable structure of the machine and thermal. That means we should select what are these parameters definitely affect our accuracy. That means if you cut a compound from morning to evening, the dimensional control is required. So all these things will affect that accuracy and preciousness. Next, what type of material removal rate you are looking for. For that will decide as what speeds you have to select, what feeds you have to select, what power you have to select for our machine. And also what is your non-meshing time, that is actually rapid feed rates, because compound involves meshing time and non-meshing time. Then productivity. Productivity nothing but your production in a day, production in a shift. That depends on, you require lesser downtime, and you may have to use multi-tools, multi-spindles, and also you may have to use the lesser tool and work clamping characteristics. So this is something what we require before to think of selecting a machine. This is what I am going to adapt for my component. Next, coming back to the construction side, the person should also have some knowledge about the machine tool construction. Otherwise, we do not know what we are selecting finally. For example, the person have some, I don't say they have the expert in this, but they have some knowledge of how the machine is built, how the spindle assemblies are there, what type of guided system machine will have, and what type of drive characteristics machine should have, like a feed drive characteristics or spindle drive characteristics. They are different drive characteristics. And what is tool point is there, tool point that between work and tool, how much rigidity you should have, and what spindle speeds and actual feed rates we have to use for our component, and what are the feedback of device what they use for spindle and axis, and also tool clamp or clamp, and ATC is required or not, APC is required or not. That means machine should have APC and ATC. That person who is procuring machine should know about it, what it does basically, and what is its characteristics, what is its features. Similarly, what type of lubrication, coolant system, hydraulic system, pneumatic system. Similarly, whether you need disposal of chip disposal or chip handling systems. Then also positioning accuracy repeatable, what it means by machine position accuracy repeatable. Details I'll give you in next slides. Then how much spindle weight should have vibrations, and what are the natural frequencies of system, and is it thermally stable structure or not, and what is power efficiency of system. Power efficiency nothing but what is power control per component. So these are certain things what the buyer or user machine should have some knowledge before selecting this, because these are all things which affect finally our product. Coming back to one is not only that construction, we also should have some the features of CNC machines, latest trends. Earlier days we are all using low speeds and low feed rate machines, but now machines are coming with higher work spindle speeds, more than 3,000, 6,000 RPM. And similarly, tool spindles, that is rotating tool spindle, coming more than 10,000, 20,000 RPM now. Earlier days were all using 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 like that. Now there is a lot of people are supplying 10,000, 20,000. How it is required, we'll discuss next slide. Then cutting speeds, we are going to 800,000 millimeter per meter cutting speed, depending on material, depending on the tools, what you are trying to put on our machine. And rapid feed rates, 40 to 60 meters, that will reduce non-cutting time. Similarly, what type of coolant system you require for your machine, whether you want coolant through the spindle or coolant from the external or pressurized coolant. Similarly, digital servo control system, which you require for better accuracy of control of the machine. Then turret, ATCs, APCs, which will reduce our cycle times. Nowadays, if you see, people are submitting machines less than 1 second of to change. Similarly, automatic temperature control system. This is required for the consistency of the accuracy, dimensional accuracy. There are certain features were recently last 5-10 years added to our existing machine tool. So when you select better to select a better on what meets our requirement. Now, yeah. Now coming back to Next, what are requirements for machine selector? Then I put it in two categories. One is on from component side, which will decide my manufacturing process or manufacturing requirement or that is basic thing what starts from me is from the machining process. That means my component does it require turning operation or milling operation or grinding operation or combination of these. That will decide what type of machine I have to select. Otherwise, it may not meet the complete operations of the my component what we are looking for. See nowadays, user is asking one machine should do all the operations required in one setup. So that will decide what type of process I combine or individual processes. Then this component size, that is like dimensions of the component or its shape will decide me what axis strokes are required. That means you are using 100 mm length or 100 mm diameter or 1 meter length. That will decide what is the minimum axis stroke I should have on my machine to meet the component requirement. Similarly, materials people are using nowadays cast iron, steel, aluminum, brass, and its hardness. That will decide the machinability aspect of the machine what we are going to select. And coming back to the material, component tool size, that means depending on tool size or component size, who decide the cutting speeds and spindle speeds. Similarly, machining process parameters, that is cutting speed, that is programmable bit, what we call in other program term B01 speed. So unless we have left side decided what I want, the other side we cannot decide. Similarly, machining process like cycle time, how much cycle time you require, how much production rate per piece you require, that will be decided by your G00 speed what machine is going to provide you tomorrow. Similarly, component accuracies. What class of machine you are looking depends on what type of accuracies you are asking, what type of consistency, that is, what IT grade tolerance you are looking for on your component as per your drawing. Similarly, what is the consistency over a batch production, that is called CPK, process capability, as well as CPK, CPM. Similarly, the material removal rate, that will decide our drive power, spindle power and axis power, and also type of spindle drive what you are looking for, that is direct drive or indirect drive or belt driven drive or gear driven drive system. Similarly, type of guideways, whether you need a cast iron guideways, auto guideways or anti-friction guideways. Then programmable features and safety aspects on the machine also is required for us for consistent operation for a long time. Similarly, not only this about basic machine, there are a lot of subsystems available on every machine tool. They are all bought out by OEMs who are making the machines. So we should have to understand how they behave on our machine, like hydraulic system, pneumatic system, coolant system, lubricant system, then APCs, ATCs, and other things. So these are things what to require to understand, which will decide my limitations of machine what I am looking for. Next is I summarize what I am just told in last two slides. That means I should decide specifications feature for my component what I am trying to use for this machine and what accuracies I require on the machine and how do I maintain machine and reliability of the machine and subsystems and accuracy, what type of subsystem I should select and accuracy. Not only that, installation requirement for that machine, foundation, ambient, can do you require AC or you don't require AC, and what type of foundation require, and layout, print of the machine, and input power system. That will decide how much space I have to allot for that machine, what I'm going to decide tomorrow in my shop. And what other than that, next comes is how do you procure? What are the operation cost? What is the spares cost? Then what is delivery time? What is service support I get from the supplier or OEM? And supply conditions. These are general things what we should list out before for selecting a machine tool one after one after one after one. Then first we have to decide the specifications first. These are some. This is what we require. Put on paper first. Now how do we do that? See, for any machine tool, what you are trying to procure, first thing I should know what is my requirement. That means what are the maintenance specifications I should list down. What type of machine I require, what axis strokes I require, whatever feed rates I require, whatever spindle speeds and type of spindle I require, and drive power, control system, and any CAN cycle to require now, standard program feature required for my component, and what is the accuracy, repeatability, and process capability what you expect from the machine. Then ATC, APC, collision, what type of things you require for this, and maintainability. These are the 8-10 minimum things what this down first. For my component, so this is what is limited I have got. Now here comes is our specification what to decide in the first column may be very small, but nobody is going to make machine for our thing what I want. But then that case, what should do? What is nearest machine available in the market? specify standard brakes, standard makes or brand machines clear to our specification. That means I have to check whether these specifications are available in the market. Otherwise, if somebody has developed for this specification, it may cost very big, unless it is a regular product for the OEM. Now, what do you do next? You have to select the machine. For that, you compare your required specifications with the machine specifications available in the market and which brand, which level is supplying these machines for ground features. Then compare what is my required, what is the minimum risk available in the market. So that will tell me this is specification what I can get from the market. This is what we are like written down. Next, once you do this, then you have to make a procurement list. That means you have to inquire. And the inquiry, you already know what is available in the market to meet our requirement of our component, what requirement. Then we have to list down what is that you have to send to the OEM, what requirements you are looking for. That means you should include all the carbon parameters in our inquiry before we go to the inquiry. There is technical specification feature. This way I discussed in the last 2-3 slides what specifications require like speeds, accuracies, then material removal rate or type of bed, type of guideways or type of drive. All those things you have to put in technical specification and programming features. Then system, what type of hydraulic system, what for the required pneumatic, coolant and lubricant system, and at the same time relevant standards for these systems. Design aspects and relevant standards, how you are going to design. All these things should come in, otherwise you will not get the product what you are looking for. Then next, what machine accuracy such as positioning accuracy, repeatability, you have to put in your machine specifications inquiry. Then not only explain what you want, then tomorrow how are you going to inspect, how are you going to accept. Simply I want this one, there must be methodology to check that tomorrow for qualifying the machine performance. For that, there are some test scores available for each parameter. That will come back next slide. And test scores, relevant standards for design, machine accuracy, safety. Then also acceptance criteria for machine tools, test standards are available. Quality assurance plan, pre-dispatch inspection, final dispatch, and final trials at user point, and the inspector. All these things, unless you put it down in your inquiry, your OEM will not respond for all these things. Tomorrow, you will not be able to say whether what you are looking for you are able to achieve or not. Next, following that, then standard space what to require for this weekend. We should decide before we go into that, depending on our component, depending on our accuracy requirement, depending on our cycle time of operations. Then operation and maintenance space, warranty for machines and space, and other one, the final one, very important thing, documentation. Documentation certificate to be provided by OEM, what you're looking for. Then other special things, if any, like warranty for spares and subsystems, and what is the details of interchangeable items like turrets or ATCs. Then how you are going to pack or what installation and commissioning, who is going to take care, how they are going to take, and training, operation details. These are things you should write down in one particular place. Ask the OEM whether he has got any limitation to supply these things. Unless you specify in your requirement in the beginning, you will not get. You will be in trouble like that. Next is, and we also should be able to understand what is the QAP, acceptance test procedure for our machine. Simply telling I want this accuracy, I want this production, I want this surface speed, everybody will like it. How to qualify? Otherwise, it lead to a lot of discussion and acceptance condition. So we have to ask the OEM to send us the quality plan. That's called quality assurance procedure and the acceptance test procedure for your product. And the critical components are to be accompanied by OEM test certificates, what is building in each place. And machine to be accommodated with all these documentation like PAP, inspection report, detailed test certificates, test report. All these things are required for us to get a satisfaction, get a confidence that we are getting a machine what we are looking and work for a long time without any problem. Next, one more thing, people forget to think of this drive characteristics during selection of machine. This is very, very important for selecting a spin drive system. Depending on your operational speeds, depending on your drive type of material, speed rate, all this they have the operational characteristic, operational requirement. We cannot you should select. Simply you take a drive which doesn't meet your requirement of power utilization, then you will be in trouble. So I should know what is power available from between what speed range to what speed range, otherwise you lose the production. So this also is very important. In case if the buyer has got some ambiguity of selecting this thing, he can approach OEM. This is my requirement, what the drug you suggest for me. So we will have an idea together how you are going to get your production rate and power utilization characteristics. Now, our machine procurement also should include certain documentation. Otherwise, what happens tomorrow after we receive the machine, you will not have any data to counteract problems coming during operation. So, regarding the technical manual to be provided along with the machine, this higher standard that gives clearly guideline for presentation of information technical method, what type of technical manuals, how do you present technical manuals for useful to the user, and test certificate what happens to be included in the manual. Like this, for example, technical data, technical description, maintenance instruction, what list, operation instruction, and everything will be there in the manual. This should be followed as per certain higher standard 90%. Otherwise, what happens, you will lose some information. Tomorrow, if you are in trouble, you have to go back to OEM. Then coming, just summarizing what I have told, one thing is you have to finalize your specification features based on our requirement, what my component requires, what features. Then select an ODM product range matching to our requirements specification. Then compare and feed this specification. Then find the product range specification feature as a document. Then find out who is the probable supplier for this component for this specification. Then fill an inquiry document. Inquiry document should have all the details what I have explained in the previous slides. And also prepare QA and without QA and examination will not buy any mission. Right? Tomorrow it will lead to a lot of controversy. Then process for procurement. Process for procurement, different organizations have a different way of procurement that we have to see. Now, at the same time, we also have to come out in our document what is that OEM should apply to you, should comply with what you want. Otherwise, we get into a lot of other controversies. So, acceptance plan and inspection, relevant standard, OEM has to comply with your requirement. Safety features, you have to comply. Warranty, you have to specify. And installation commission documents you have to provide you, like what type of power supply you require, what type of get you require, what type of air supply you require. Then supply should also carry out the installation and who will do the testing of the installation. Then what is the data backup after the installation. Like that, these are the things what somebody should not miss while buying a machine or selecting a machine. Next thing is training. Because every product has got its own features to train. So your people who are trying to use the machine will have a proper training by the proper people. Just one person is by the OEM. So they should train for people about machine operation, machine maintenance, electrical maintenance, control maintenance. Then documentation. Your machine should have a set of documents. You to refer back how it is going to work for the machine. Like that should be preferably in English. Sometimes people also have a local language depending on the requirement. So document should have operation manual, space list, maintenance manual, like what I said, and machine test chart, and any literature catalog with the design operation of the machine. Then this is an example I have given listed out here. Some specifications you have to fill this list before start of your procurement. That is, what is the maximum turning diameter, what this machine can do. Which is not the one what you are looking for your own component. What is nearest available in the market, so that your procurement simulate turning length, bore, cat, string diameter, single speed, how your program speeds, single bearing, whether it is cooling or not, all this about 30, 40 parameters you have to fill physically, getting an inquiry from supplier, because they are all required for any component which you are going to manufacture in the production organization, and what type of accuracy, repeatability, and backlash you require in the machine, and if it is Rotax, what type of accuracy you require, and at the same time, whether you require a flat bed or all these things you have to decide for selecting. This all mainly depends on your component, size, shape, process, programming features. On that, one by one, convert all these things you are component. Once you do these things, then you are to go to process.
Mr. Balram Prakash here. Just 1 minute. I think there is a lot of background noise which is coming. If anybody has unmuted, please mute. One is that.
Something is still coming. Somebody
Yeah,
has.
there's a lot of noise. I
Yeah.
hope all are muted. Maybe there's something noise which is coming from
Somewhere else.
somewhere else or from no.
Now it's better.
Yeah, now it is better. You can continue.
Yeah. Now, so far we are telling about how to specify specifications, how to select specifications, how do you process. Suppose you want to ask OEM what are things you have to ask OEM what to supply for our requirement. That's not enough for us because we should also know how we are going to accept what are the standards available for accepting all these parameters for 32 years. So there are a lot of standards available, which I think buyer out should have some knowledge about it. Otherwise, people like us, AMTTF or IMTMA can help you to select proper standards for proper application. So I just given for information of the participant. These are the general standards. If you refer, you get a lot of information about what to specify in your selection of machine. For example, there are test course, ISO course, same thing is as BAS course. Most of the ISO standards have been incorporated in BAS standard. They are available in BAS website. You can buy directly online. And turning centers have got BAS 13041 standard. Machine test again 15150. Grinders again. Like that, there are so many. I put only 3-4 machines because their big list is there. If you say IS website or IS website, you get all the relevant information. Or we'll be happy to help you to get particular standard for particular application. Similarly, spindle vibrations, these are the standard of 17243 recent standard. Then how do you evaluate your process capability, CPA, CPK, CPM? How do you do it? There is methodology for that. And Mr. is safety. Risk assessment, how to reduce your risk on your machine, and electrical equipment risk assessment. So these are general standards available for us to understand what to check in a machine when I buy a machine. But I am not going to detail because each itself is a big subject. If somebody wants any specific information, any of these standards, we are ready to help them. They can contact us at any time. Then, for example, if you are buying a turning center, these are all the parameters you have to check for while accepting the machine or while ordering the machine. Unless you put all these things in place while buying a machine, OEM may not oblige to supply you for this. So for every parameter, there is an IS standard or ISO standard. I just listed for one application like turning center because they are like the machine terms are available and the boring machines are available, grinding machines are available. Different machines have different standards. Some of them are common also. So depending on our application, I have to select what type of standard I have to use for my application. For example, for turning center, the geometrical accuracy are given in 13041 part 1. If somebody can verify it or I can help them tomorrow. And positioning accuracy repeatabilities. Linear axis, how much it should be there? How do you measure? All expand this machine. Similarly, for rotary axis, in case of C axis for lathe also is available. Then accuracy, or what is accuracy? Speeds, feature, interpolating accuracy, the ball bar accuracy. Then spindle vibration, how much should be yellow on the machine? What is noise allowable on the machine? Then what is the accuracy and test pitch when you cut for acceptance? How to do it? That means what type of job you have to do, what conditions you have to test, what is the allowable values for that test. Then cool power utilization, then process capability, all are available standards. Then again thermal distortion of spindle linear axis and the spindle analysis is not run out. It is the axis of accuracy of rotation error of the motion that is there. Then step response, that means what is the minimum step my axis to respond and what is the rigidity of the system I should have at the spindle and the axis, and dynamic frequencies, then EMI, EMC, and machinery safety. There are all these standards normally look for. These are parameters for turning center. Similar standards are available for other machine tools also. I am not listed because it is a big subject there. We can come back. Now, it is not only that we should know for the benefit of the participant today. I just want to give the consolidated values or recommended permissible values and what are the relevant standards. Because why I told this basically that these things you have to decide when you buy a machine. Otherwise, you will not get what you are looking for. OEM is not obliged to show you at these performance levels. Let us say one by one I go through that. First thing is positioning accuracy and repeatability. Now, there is a lot of apprehension in the minds of buyer what I have to ask for my machine. No, here, all these standards, what I'm referring is the standard data, but they are all only guidelines. There is no mandatory that we should ask only for this. If manufacturer requires different accuracies on their component because of their own internal process requirements or component requirements, they can ask, but this should be done on the inquiry stage. Otherwise, they will not obey. Suppose tomorrow you want 10 micron accuracy machine, you can ask. It is not the 22 microns always. It is not a mandatory on these machines, but we have some guidelines what to ask, which is achievable in the market. So we have to like that. This ISO 13041 or IS 13041 for turning, this is only for turning machines are given. Similar things are available data in the standard for machine center, for grinding machine, for column boring machine, for VTL machines. Different machines have got different available values. Some are common, some are different variables. But I just give an example here because tomorrow you want any data other than more than this data, you can approach us. We'll try to help you. Physical standards, what is relevant to be prepared. Now, these standards provide you depending on the stroke, what is the positioning accuracy you have to tell, whether you want bidirectional accuracy or you want unidirectional accuracy, and what is repeatability error, what is backlash value, and also systematic deviation. But this IS 13041 gives me allowed values up to only 2 meters length. Beyond 2 meters length, we refer other ISO standard like 8366. There I can get up to 20 meters length. What are the allowed values for the similarly accuracies? Similarly for rotary axis also there are certain allowed values 60 arc seconds per A. So A or B I'll explain in the next slide. See this we should have knowledge when I'm selecting machine what I should ask the OEM, what accuracy I need and as per what standard I want. Otherwise, it will lead to a lot of controversy tomorrow when you try to prove the component or prove the machine. This is regarding accuracy requirement. I just gave you one slide here because there is, in my experience last so many years, there is a lot of controversy between buyer and seller regarding the standard, what standard you apply for positioning accuracy and repeatability. There are basically two standards now available. One thing is VDA DGQ 3441. Other one is ISO 230 or ISO 2063. That IS 206 is nothing but ISO 230-2 only. And Japanese standard also follows now this standard, ISO standard only. There is no separate Japanese standard presently for last 5 years. They have been deleted. ISO 600 has been outdated now. They are also following ISO 230-2. Here they are entirely different way of evaluation. Measurement methodology is same for both the standards. That means the buyer should know what accuracy he wants as per what standard. Otherwise, it will give a lot of controversy. That means you should write, I want 10 microns as per VDA DGQ standard, or I want 10 microns as per ISO standard. If you don't specify, there is a lot of controversy when you try to measure these things on the machine. So we should select this, what type of standard I should ask while selecting a machine. Why I told you specifically that nowadays people are asking, I want plus minus 5 micron accuracy on position on my machine, but people do not have idea of, there is no standard says plus minus 5 micron. It's always a band from top maximum point to minimum maximum point. Some standard may say P, some standard may say A, but the definitions they are almost same. The only difference between these two standards, how do you consider your backlash and repeatability of unidirection to evaluate the total band of error? That's why you have to mention at per what standard, what value you want. But if you take VDA DGQ 3441, they will use only the procedure and evaluation, not the allowable values. But whereas in ISO standard, they use the procedure and also the allowed values, like what the last slide I have shown you. So we should be very clear in our mind when we are selecting a machine, what is that I have to specify. Then other thing, I just give an example for information to the user. People say, I want compensation, picture the compensation. Then we should know what is the effect of unidirectional picture compensation or bidirectional picture compensation. Do you require only unidirection or do you require only bidirection? That depends on what type of product I am selecting, what type of accuracy I am expecting in the component, what type of process I am applying for the component. See, basically it all depends on money. If you want unidirection, you get cheaper rate compared to bidirectional compensation. If the machine has got a uniform backlash, unidirectional compensation is sufficient for us to compensate. But if the machine has got a variable backlash, because so many reasons, there are so many design criteria, conditions available on the machine. That depends on the cost of the machine basically. Then we have to go for a bidirectional compensation. So that I should specify, I should select what I want at the time of buying a machine itself, depending on the brand, depending on the accuracy what you are looking, depending on the accuracy what they are trying to achieve. Next, the vibration levels. Why I am telling you, I have a lot of queries regarding this particular vibration levels from my user point. They say I want 1 millimeter per second, I want 1.5 millimeter per second, I want 1.15 millimeter per second. It's again a notion. Depends on what you look. Nobody has got any idea what is the effect of this on your component accuracies. But there is a standard 17243 recently, about 3 years back, it has come out by ASO. We are trying to adapt the same standard to BA standards and maybe coming few months. Here they specify depending on the type of drive, type of bearings, type of power, whether old machine, normal new built machine or normal operating conditions. So depending on the application what I am trying to use, depending on what type of drive you have selected, what type of bearing system we have selected for our machine, depending on what the requirement user wants, you have to give the accuracy levels, acceptable accuracies. So it varies from 0.7 to 1.4, 1.8 depending on the application. At the same time, people should also know not only vibration velocity, we should also specify while buying a machine acceleration also. That is, this will, by measuring acceleration now in the new machine, I know how the machine is going to behave as a short-term behavior in the machine, as an indication. They also given certain allowed values. That means when I move the axis rapidly, what acceleration I'm going to measure. That is very, very important. Sorry, spindle, what acceleration spindle is going to accelerate. 6 millimeter per second is the allowed value normally. Sometimes depending on the design, it goes up to 8. So this gives me clear idea what acceleration I have to. Why I told all these things, you have to specify when you select a machine, what is vibration level on my machine, at what location. Further standards clearly specify where to measure, how to measure, what equipment you have to use, how we analyze this vibration spectrum also. So that is very, very important. We have to specify on our while selecting machine, we should know about it. Now, I'll give one small example, next slide. People say, I say 0.9 millimeter per second is my vibration velocity, but it is not that all speeds should be less than 0.9. This 1.24 specifies two speeds are allowed beyond 0.9, and there is a calculation for that. As per that, we should take that. But at the same time, manufacturer tell us between what range I don't have more than 0.9. In this case, 9175 to 9625, my velocity is more than 5 load value. And 1770 to 19500 for about 24,000 more than allowed value. That means still it is allowed as per the standard. Only 2 places they allow. But at the same time, the bandwidth of one bandwidth of 2 together must be less than 10% of maximum velocity range. That means there are certain conditions. Once you go to standard, you know. But maybe every people may not appreciate this standard, but people like us who are regularly using this acceptance criteria will be able to help you in future in case of any discrepancy. What I mean is, it's not that always all these speeds will be less. Like that, we should have some knowledge before selecting a machine. What machine all less than 0.9. Some machine give 2 frequencies for or 3 frequencies for like that. Noise. You have to specify in your selection of machines what noise you require on your. This depends on so many conditions. But if you ask me, there is no standard specifying noise for our machine tools. But only guideline for us to specify machine noise in our requirement, select a machine which is less noise is OSHA standard, operation safety for health application. That is by American standard. Again, a guideline. They specify it is always better to have less than 85 decibel around the machine, about 1.5 meter away and 1 meter like that, operator position basically, all around the machine, where all at the maximum spindle speed, maximum rapid speed, all hydraulic, pneumatic, all sections on. And we should measure this at least 3 conditions of rotational RPM, like 10%, 50%, 100%. So this is now the criteria for this, what they say in the OSHA standard is, if anybody is subjected to continuous noise level of 90 decibels and above, continuously for 8 hours, he will become permanently deaf operator who will be nearby that location. That's what they say. They never say it's allowed. If noise level is more than 90 decibels, subject for 8 hours, you have to provide mufflers continuously. There is a obligation by the user or manufacturer. So based on that, normally we say 85 decibels is a good value, but normally most of the machine will cover under 80-85 decibels level, as we observed our experience. But there are cases where more than 85 depends on applications. Now, This is what I thought I will share with you, what we should consider while selecting machine tool. I know I'm not able to go still further deep into it because it's question of time and question of understanding. If any user is required to select a machine tool for his particular application, we are here to support them. We select all the specifics required, features required, accuracy required, documents required, purpose required, technical document required for the purpose, and also how to put the acceptance conditions and relevant standards. We support them by making this document preparation for the user industry to buy a machine for his application based on certain parameters what I specified now. At the same time, I just want to tell you that an AMTTA, a third party organization, is a neutral organization. It is set up by AMTM with government support and CMT support. What we can support you, one is selecting a mission tool, making a document for your mission, what you are looking for. I think also we also support you in selecting a mission tool and accepting mission tool on behalf of you. Actually, about our organization, IMTM is a support initiative, basically. A joint product with the Government of India, IMTM and CMTA. We are a single window dedicated facility, ISO 9000 certified facility. We are the last 6 years, 7 years, and we provide on-site services customer works. We also do troubleshooting accuracy, like accuracy, charter, surface finish, case-to-case basis on-site with our equipment what is available. We have procured all latest equipment and it is available at my place. And we have dedicated technical expertise, and we also have trained engineers to do the job. Next, we provide service at your works on your machine for testing your machines and troubleshooting on your machines and also problem solving. We provide services for this in general. Okay, not only for selecting a machine tool. No. What services we offer here is testing and inspection. We provide periodic machine inspection calibration for your machine and third-party machine inspection at manufacturer place on your behalf for acceptance before dispatch as per specified standards, specified features, what is agreed upon between buyer and seller. And we also carry out condition monitoring of noise and vibration on your machine at your work and troubleshooting using frequency vibration analysis technique, and do in situ balancing of spindle to reduce the vibration levels to the limits what is expected. And also we have certain specific facility called residual stress and retain knock and measurement facility that is used mostly by most of the user industries for optimize their process of the component to find the what residual stress are available on that. Some examples show you in next slides. And we also do troubleshooting for your charter, dynamic analysis, and machine performance and problem solving. We do suggestions to identify and solve the problem at your place on your machines by using certain techniques of measurement and against relevant standards. Now let us say laser calibration, what all we do. We have the equipment to do laser calibration, complete volume, that is thickness we can measure, angular errors I can measure, positioning accuracy, squareness, rotary axis positioning errors, and ball bar interpolation accuracy. And my equipment meets up to requirement of 80 meters length. I can do the calibration of lever machine up to 80 meters per minute velocity. So that is what is the latest equipment, what is available by Renisha. It is the Renisha equipment. I can use this at the big volume of which also can calibrate, maybe at time of buying or maybe after machine install at your campus. The next is laser ball bar system we have got. We will do. There is specific requirement of doing when you do the calibration of inclined axis. Certain specific optics are required. That we have got with us like this. Similarly, this is laser measurement system, and we also do ball bar. Ball bar, some examples are given. How do we do ball bar for this machine? That is vertical machine center. So I can for this there is a standard. We have to do a different feed rate depending on diameter what we are trying to do. Okay. And we also do turning centers also, ball bar measurement, turning, milling, and any machine type we can do. We have the equipment, we also have the expertise here. What time is not that simply putting the equipment, we also should find out what criteria have to be that, what speed have to do, and what are the allowed values for this purpose. Then at the same time, we also do this spindle balancing at your side, on your machine, even if it's old machine, user machine, or the new machine, to reduce the vibration which impact on the surface finish. That means we will do single plane balancing We also do double plane two plane balancing to reduce vibration, because some cases single plane balancing will not achieve the value what we need. Okay, we see some example. Before balancing, I was getting about 3 millimeter per second velocity on the spindle where we are locating here. But after balancing, we can bring down to 0.4, 0.2, 0.3, depending on our effort, what is required. This is required continuously monitoring, continuously at your side for getting a better product. And we also do chatter analysis. See, when you do turning or any other operation, I'll give an example of turning machine. There is chatter lines here. There is a technique for that purpose. We do frequency measurement, vibration frequency measurement. We do natural frequency analysis. Then we do compare the values, find the resonant condition, try to find the mode shape analysis. If you do this, I can exactly pinpoint where the source of error is coming for your chatting. So you can take remedial action required for this purpose. Then at the same time, what is the running accuracy of your spindle bearings? This will decide me when I use this spindle, what is the circularity I get on the board surface before machining. That means when the circularity deteriorates because usage of machine or buying a new machine, whatever required, I can assess idle condition without cutting what circularity machine will provide. There is technique for that, there is standard for that. As per standard, we do carry out test and tell if you do operate at this speed, this circularity you are going to get. Next, again, we also have the contour roughness element. This will give me what is the joining profiles, what you get on your component when you machine on the component. Then do you get a complete merging or do you get any cracks? Then I do evaluate surface roughness and give the pinpoint the source why this roughness is good or bad depending on condition. The contour I can check, vibration measurement or surface fit also I can check. Then one more thing, we have EMC test. This may not be regularly used for user. I just give it facility available with us. If you have a product which is going to export it from your organization, there is a requirement for EMC testing that we have the equipment here to check as per the relevant ISO or EN standards. And we have the residual stress equipment which can absolutely give me what is the residual stress available present on the machine component surface. This is very much required at user point to optimize their metallurgical and manufacturing or heat treatment process. And depends on what you require. Different variety of compounds we do basically to optimize the material heat treatment process to get a better service life of the component. These are all what automotive component. Many of the automotive components, more than 30 companies are utilizing facility to optimize their process. Some examples we showed here, basically automobile component example. Then manufacturing industry can use the following services what is available at AMTTF. Periodic calibration of your machine, vibration condition monitoring of CNC machine, performance evaluation, component separation between evaluation, in situ balancing, and third-party manufacturing, inspection manufacturing for your acceptance, and selection of machine for a given application, and also residual stress measurement. Next, coming back to, we have technical expertise. Is only one organization providing testing, troubleshooting, problem solving for root cause analysis for your machines. And we do service within 24 hours, prompt service. And we provide service anywhere in India. Our charges are very, very less compared to other charges because it is run by a society having members from industry and members from government of India. And we have the latest equipment technology and we have the qualified engineers. The charts are open public, it's open document, anybody can refer to us. This is depending on test, depending on investigation, what we are trying to provide, we are going to charge for that. All services are chargeable at minimum rate. Now, we also publish some newsletters through IMTMBA, depending on our experience to share with users how you can utilize our facilities. Let us say, spindle vibration, how do you analyze, or consistency of machine, how do you decide. If you have two machines of the same company, they may not behave similarly. So we do some techniques for comparing these two and say this is the problem with this machine, this is what we are doing for this machine. And we also do the analysis of chatter, different like this. Regularly, we publish these newsletters for the information to the user to get a knowledge of what AMT can support them. Coming back to how do we improve machine performance, finally, some inputs what I just want to tell. You have to maintain your machine geometry errors and accuracies that come down only by frequent calibration. For that, we can support you and you can ask for that anything you want. And we have to maintain spindle vibrations randomly. Now and then we have to check Sometimes you have to rebalance the system. For that, we can support you. And we have to maintain the quality assurance procedure for all your process manufacturing of a component and maintain machine cleanliness safety aspects. Now, these are all our clients we are serving for last almost 10 years, more there, but some few things added here. Now, this is what there are machine tool manufacturers, there are machine tool OEMs, there are machine tool users, there are non-machine tool users also there. Now, thanks for your company. Now, I just want to stop it at this stage, not end of it. I just want to ask our participants whether they have any clarification on this, because it is very difficult for me to cover every aspect with 1 hour or 1.5 hours. After this, once you have gone to some question answer level, then we will have a discussion. One of my colleagues will share you what is experience in selecting emissions to and what I have projected. So, Prakash,
I think we have few questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Balram, so far we have few questions. I think I've tried to, just as you are explaining, maybe from the user's point of view, I was listening. I would like to show few questions through, in the form of the slides here. Let me share that slide.
Yeah, please.
1 second before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am TK Venkatesh, and I was supposed to support Mr. Balramaya. I have got few more points, and then we can ask these questions, because based on my inputs to them, they can ask more questions probably.
Yeah, please. Prakash, is okay?
Shall I? Am I audible to
Okay,
all?
okay, you are audible. You can go ahead. Then we'll have this question.
Yeah. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Mr. Balramaya has covered quite comprehensively all the points that is needed for selection of a machine tool. Yeah, and these points have to be very religiously adhered to if you want a long-term performance from these machine tools and an optimum solution for your application. Besides this, I find that majority of the tier 2, tier 3 companies, they make a judgmental error in selecting an equipment, because they give a very sketchy information to the OEMs, and in the end, then later on they realize that they should have added this or not included this. Maybe because of their lack of knowledge, they end up making a mistake. So I will just highlight very quickly those points, and then you can raise your doubts little later. Okay, first is to find out whether this component can be done. First, you ensure that it can be done on a vertical machine itself. Invariably, there are many components which do not need a horizontal machine. Horizontal machines, machining centers are a little expensive. So the first is to find out whether that job can be done on a vertical machine. Then the cost comes down drastically. One is that. Well, all jobs cannot be done on a vertical, which is done on vertical can be done on horizontal, or the other way around. So you have to see that. But if it is possible, make sure that you don't end up spending more money buying a horizontal machine. The second is, I find that many customers who come and tell the OEs that they want this much of power and this thing, but they don't tell the component does it need a power at a very low RPM, because diameter of the cutter is big, so they need to get a higher power, maybe say 15 kilowatt at 300 RPM, which invariably is not available if you buy a direct drive. So they don't tell that, because they only say that they see the machine's power diagram, and they say that okay, this suits my application. That is not correct. You should tell the reveal that information, that my cutter diameter is this. In case it is not a tooled up offer, then you should declare all that in the beginning, so that then even if you want a direct drive machine, they will give you a base spindle motor with a base speed much less than 1500 RPM. You can get a base speed of 500 RPM also. The cost varies, but you can get a higher power at a lower RPM. That's how many people do, because they want direct drive. Otherwise, you have to go to indirect drive, but then it has a limitation. You cannot go beyond 10,000 RPM. So these things you should check. The other point where generally the buyers do not concentrate is, they ask for a rapid traverse rate. The machine tool builder will tell you that the rapid wave is 60 meters per minute. But for a short stroke, you will never reach that 60 meters per minute at all. You will never, not unless the G is high. If the G of the machine is high, the acceleration is high, then otherwise, before it starts reaching the top speed, it will start decelerating, because you cannot reach. And you must ask the machine tool builder what the G of that particular axis is. It could be 1 meters per second squared, or they specify 1G, 2G, 1.1G, something like that. So you should ask that to the machine tool builder. Many small time customers, they don't ask this because they don't know this. So I'm just educating them. The other point is they ask for as far as the ATC, number of tools, because you should see that today I need only 10 tools for this components, but tomorrow my this thing requirement may go up, and so you should buy that from 20 to 30 or whatever the extra number of pockets that is available in the ATC. You should consider it, because later on to add that is not possible. So many people end up making a mistake, and then they ask us to change the ATC number of the magazine so that more tools can be added. So just these are just the points we should keep, not only for one particular component that you have got an order now. You should see for a little beyond that, so that tomorrow when the component changes, you should be able to manage with the same machine. The other one is they don't ask because what tooling they are using, whether they are having HSK or BT. Because if you are all having HSK tooling and you buy one BT machine, then you end up making an inventory for a BT tools, so which is not correct. Or if you have all BT and then you buy HSK from us, and then the problem will come that the tooling is a very big cost. So you have to be very clear, and within HSK, what HSK 63, HSK 50, HSK 80, HSK 100, all kinds are available from the machine tool builder. But you need to specify that. And of course, if you need a higher clamping force, you should consider for a HSK clamping arrangement. That will give you definitely a much better rigidity for the spindle, and it can run at a much higher RPM. The other invariably the options which is given offered by the machine tool builder, which is not known to the clients, is whether there should be an ATC door, because these things are sometimes kept as an option and they are not aware that such an option is available, and they order, and then they'll end up finding that all chips are going all parts of the machine and damaging that, and it taking so much time to clean up all that. So a lot of production time is wasted. So these things you should inquire whether there is a ATC magazine door is available, so that the chips don't go to the unwanted areas. Invariably it is available, but as a standard option they don't give. So sometimes it is an option depending upon the machine tool builder. He keeps certain things as an option and he will sell it at some extra price. But you should know whether such a thing is needed depending upon the material that you are cutting. The other one is many people add additional items to their machine. They will add some more items like a rotary table tomorrow, or they will add a fume extractor tomorrow. Then you should have some space in your electrical cabinet to add those switchgear items for that. And if there is nothing there, then this whole thing is so packed inside this thing, and the cabinet not designed for that. So you must ask for that 20% extra space in the electrical cabinet, so that when you add tomorrow a new variable there, it should be very neatly done. Because one is asking that in the beginning itself is good, but in case it has to be done later on because your need has changed, so you should have the provision to add some more switchgear items into the electrical cabinet. The other one where people make plenty of mistakes is selection of a coolant through system. They don't know for that why the coolant through system is needed, because if you have a blind hole, you are drilling and the chips are getting entangled, so you need to clean up the hole, and the chips have to be evacuated, and for that you need some extra pressure of the coolant, and that depends upon the L by D. So depending upon that, you should select the pressure. You select a pressure such a Grundfos pump and say that it is only 17 bar, it will do because it's cheaper, and then we find that the chips are not getting evacuated, because it depends upon the tool you use. So if you ask these questions to the machine tool builder, they will educate you that for your application, you want your component for this drill diameter and this drill depth and blind hole, you need to use a Vanner pump with a higher CTS pressure, maybe 50 bar or 100 bar. All these are available from the machine tool builders. But if you ask for a standard machine, they won't give you all these details unless you ask for it. So that we are also telling everybody that they should educate the customer who comes to buy. The other one is a chip disposal system. Invariably, these are the weak and the vulnerable parts in the machine tools. And You don't know if you are doing aluminum machining, the chips fly to all parts of the machine, and they end up, you losing a lot of time cleaning it, and it go into unwanted areas and create other problems. So the design of the machine for aluminum, the enclosures and things like that are slightly different. And then you must ask for that this is the component I'm machining. Today I'm doing cast iron, tomorrow I may do aluminum. And remember one more thing, there is no universal spindle available from any machine tool builder which can do aluminum, you can do cast iron, you can do steel. There is no such thing. You have to be very specific that if it is taken for aluminum, then you should continue doing aluminum. Otherwise, very simple or cast iron or very small material removal is possible. So you must be very clear about what you are planning to do on that machine. The other one is filtration system. The coolant filtration system, many people err in the beginning. They don't know what kind of a filtration system they need to add, and they find that the coolant is still having a lot of chips in it, and they clog it, and that takes away a lot of time to clean it, and is a recurring cost. So there is a cyclone filtration available from machine tool builders. You must ask for that, and otherwise they will give you a bag filter. Maybe there are all kinds of filtration systems are there. They introduce a paper band filter. So all these add to the cost, but adding that later on because of your experience later on that that you are doing cast iron machining, a lot of powder is coming, that becomes a very big problem to add that, and it is a time consuming thing and a difficult. So it is all better to know all these things. The other one is a fume extractor. If you are using a CTS machine, coolant through spindle machine, then the coolant gets atomized. Because it is falling at an enormous pressure, it gets atomized, and that fumes go all parts of the machine, and they create a bigger problem. So many people, one is a health hazardous, the other one is, so many people ask for a fume extractor. So there is a machine has a provision to make a hole and tomorrow take the fumes out and deposit it in a place, so that it is not health hazardous. One is that, and also not hazardous to the machine as well. And the other one is the service support. You must ask that, do you have a service support network available? Because in the event of some difficulty, if the part has to come from a remote place, is very difficult. Then you should ask for all the spare parts of the weak items, which, with respect to their own experience for 4 or 5 years. Many corporate companies, they ask that I want to give me the list of your failure parts so that I can buy that and keep it as this thing. So these are the very few quick things I have just wanted to highlight to all of you. Hope it will now with respect to this, you can ask your questions. Is it okay?
Thank you, Mr. Venkatesh and Mr. Balramaya. I think maybe as you are explaining and narrating the various things, from an audience perspective, I had listed on some few questions which I will just post it right now.
Yeah.
For ease of one by one we can go.
One by one you can see.
Yeah, I think these are the few questions. Maybe first one is, of course, Mr. Balramaya was touching upon this, the QAP and ATP. Maybe this is one area where maybe as an user we were finding it little difficult to understand.
What it means, or what do you mean?
Can you explain more about this? Basically, what does it details contain? QAP, I think quality assurance procedure, or?
1 minute. I'll answer the first question. See, what I mean with QAP, ATP is that when you are trying to buy a machine, you should tell him how you are going to accept it. One thing is you have to decide what you want. Let us say I want this much accuracy, this much vibration, this much noise, or this much CPK, or this much CPM, or this much consistency accuracy. You ask. That means you should prepare a QAP along with your requirement going to OEM. This is what I am looking. Without that, OEM is not obliged to give you all the information what you are looking. So we should prepare. If you are not in trouble to make a QAP for any application or for any procurement, we can support you. We have expertise to do it. We can support you.
Okay.
Anything more you want, somebody can ask me.
Through, maybe you can touch on the answers little shortly also. Okay. I think you touched upon a very important slide where spindle drive characteristics.
Yeah.
So does this have any relation to the motor selection basically?
Yes, definitely. I think Venkatesh has already explained you what type of spindle drive you are going to have. Are you going to have the direct drive or indirect drive or belt drive? So it's a OEM require, OEM will design, but you have to tell them what type of thing you are asking depending on your power utilization, power requirement. That's what I'm explaining you in your slide.
Okay.
You can have it.
From
ask
a
for the
user
base-
point of
base
view,
speed.
from a maintainability point of view,
Yes, both.
say for example, what do you really suggest? That means more the number of elements will cause more failure, so it is better to have a direct mounting, or you should have a belt drive.
Venkatesh can,
What's your
Yeah,
experience?
is this question asked to me?
Venkatesh can
Yes,
answer.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you can, both of you, anybody can take it.
I did tell in the beginning that
Yeah.
if you are having an indirect drive, obviously, then you need the spindle may be running at a lower RPM and the motor still may be running at a higher RPM to give you the constant power band of the motor. Okay,
Range.
every motor has a constant power band and a constant torque band. Up 0 to the base speed, it is always a torque is constant, and beyond the base speed, the power is constant and the torque droops.
Yes.
That's the principle of any squirrel cage induction motor, which is the one we use for a machine tool spindle. And now, many times, they don't know that what kind of a power they need at a lower speed. So
Yeah.
obviously, when you want a power at a lower speed, which is below the base speed of the motor, obviously you need to have either a geared arrangement or you have to have a belt arrangement, so that the motor may be running above the base speed, but the spindle may be running at a lower speed, and you getting that same power what you are looking for. So you have to make a choice. The other one is if you want a direct drive and yet you want to get a power at a lower speed, obviously you have to ask for the special motor, which is nowadays available. Motors are available not only at 1500 base speed, they are available below base speed of 1500. They are available at 750, 500. Well, the cost of that goes up, but yes, solutions are available.
Yeah. Now coming back to third question, what I see here is BAS, IS.
No, IS standard, ISO standard, or BAS, JAS. Then there are many standards are there.
Yeah.
So whether they are related to one another, or for example, when you are trying to buy an imported machines and then you are having some standards here and there, are there any correlation
I'll answer.
or completely different?
Now most of the companies are supplying as per only two standards, either BAS or DIL standard, or ISO standard. ISO or BAS or VDA standards. Okay. Now ISO, most of these are same as ISO standards now. BAS standards are not. IS base both are same. There is no difference. Okay, VDA industries. Okay. ISO and JAS they are same now. IS also is same now. There is no difference between ISO or JAS. They are one-to-one standards. Okay. Certain features can give some values. Certain features VDA in German company. But there is a relation between them. I told no BA, ISO standard or VDA standard, they are same. But the way they evaluate is different. Because of that, you get different value. So we have to specify the accuracy against what standard we look. But most of the machine tools are applying the ISO now.
Okay. Thank you.
So, four is difference between reversal error that they are same. Both are same. There is no
Both are same. Yeah, that was one doubt because nowhere in your explanation the backlash word came.
by physical value, by physical measurement, they are different. They are same.
They are same. Okay, thank you. I think the fifth question is there any correlation between the noise and vibration in ISO 17243?
1 down to 40 talks about only vibrations, not noise. But noise has got a set of vibration. Noise is nothing but generation of vibration amplitudes or vibration current. So they are related in scientific way, but 1 down to 40 deals with only vibrations.
Okay.
Noise at all.
Right, sir. Then I think you touched upon ball bar measurement. I think this.
Is only to find out what is the interpolation accuracy of two moving axes or two or more axes. It could be two linear or one linear, one rotary, or two linear, one rotary, depending on application, whatever you want. It gives me what is the accuracy of moments without. If I am getting a 10 micron ball bar circularity or whatever error I am trying to measure, when you measure it, when you machine it, you will not get less than this. It's always more than, because cutting process is also involved. But here one thing beauty is that earlier days ball bar measurement was done in fixed speed. Somebody says 1000, somebody says 2000, somebody says 5000. That is not the correct. This is the highest standard and BA standard. You have to measure it 2 speeds for a particular radius. One is low speed, other is high speed. This actually impact is given by the drive tuning of the linear axis. Okay, it gives indicate me how good the drive tuning is done at different speeds. So that is ball bar what I mean. Is it clear or anything else? Somebody looking?
Yeah, I think this is some fundamental because
It is an interpolation accuracy of 2 axes or 2 or more axes.
right.
1 minute. This ball bar is invariably done for several planes between XY, XZ, and YZ. All the 3 planes they do it. And you know, if you have a counterbalance in that vertical axis, then it is difficult to get a good circularity error. I mean, the circularity error may go up. And normally, you know, we are in an XY plane, you know, where only X and Y are moving, you may get a good 2 micron or 3 micron or some such thing. But otherwise, when there is an axis which is involved with a vertical axis, which has to move against the gravity and is supported by a counterbalance, which could be pneumatic or hydraulic, then you will find invariably there is a slight deterioration in your ball bar result in those 2 planes where the vertical plane is involved. So please check that. Don't only limit to only X and Y. Ask for more than X and Y, XZ and YZ plane as well.
No. Standard says all the 3 planes you have to do X, Y, YZ, ZX. And allowed values are given same for all 3 axes.
Right. So basically, it is the level of accuracy for 2-axis interpolation.
Yes.
Through that ball bar.
Use more X also, more than 2 also.
More than 2 also. Okay.
So what my point to all the users is, they have to be X and Y getting complying with the specification is invariably achieved. But when the vertical axis is involved, you know, it is always little difficult, because either if it has got a counterbalance, then it becomes all the more difficult. Then you should ask for that. What is the specification?
Oh, okay.
Specifically standard gives all the things there. If you say I want ball bar accuracy as per so and so standard, specifically standard you are created by ball bar, and what is accuracy allowed at 2 different speeds. They specify.
Right.
Then next is EMG. EMG is electromagnetic component testing for the machine tool. To see how the electrical discharge coming out the electrical elements on the machine affecting. There are a lot of standards for that. Electrical standards are there. As per that we will do. That is what is radiation effect on the machine, suppose, and what is the conducted emission radiation. Normally this is done. Suppose you are exporting any of machine tool, is a must. It's part of CE testing. But nowadays in local market, Indian market, people are not asking for that. Slowly it will become compulsory in coming days.
Oh, I see. Is it electromagnetic?
So for example, if I take a button on my control panel, we should not give shock up to this voltage. If voltage is less than some voltage, it's called also we measure in EMG testing.
Oh, I see. This is got anything which is taken from any standards? This EMC testing?
There is EN standard. Machine tools for 6x16 standard. There is EN standard. As per that, we do it.
Okay.
I can share the number later. Somebody can contact me.
Sure. Thank you very much. Now the last 2 questions which are there is there any online support for selections of machines for MSME? In the sense they need to, or have you developed like anything, a questionnaire, if somebody inputs that what is their need?
If they can come back to me, share questions what they have got, we can answer them. You can support it.
Okay. The last one is on, I think it was explained on in terms of the G, so that is the acceleration.
Yes.
Does it have, for example, if I say that 60 meters per minute, what Mr. Venkatesh was mentioning?
So that is rapid. I have not said about G. G is whether it can reach that 60 meters per minute speed at time. You know, invariably, if the strokes are very small, and then you will never be able to reach the top speed at all before it starts decelerating. So unless the G is good, G is high, you will not get that high speed. Though the motor and the ball screw mechanism can achieve up to 60 meters per minute, but you will actually not achieve it. That's what I wanted to say.
The
So
higher
the machine tool will specify what the G is for a given axis.
Suppose you are going for higher G, higher acceleration of the axis, then your machine should be very, very dynamically stable, and you should be able to reach And you should have that. That means whether you want to reach 60 meters in 1 second, 100 milliseconds, or 200 milliseconds, that's what requires dynamics of system, closed loop control system also, and machine mechanical dynamics also. So it is very normally most of the machine tools now are provided with a 0.8, 0.9 less than 1G. Some people are still giving more than 1G also, depending on your machine tool. So that will define me what is my non-cutting time reduction.
No, your cycle
Yes,
time of machining also changes
yes,
because
yes.
of that.
It can include machine and non-machine time.
Yeah, yeah, your cycle time will impact you on your productivity as well.
Yes.
I think there is a question from the audience, Mr. Jeevan Kumar. He has a question.
Yeah.
For a same machine spec, we have different price from different OEMs.
Yes.
Where do this OEM play to have a difference in the cost?
I told you in my second slide, every machine is same, but depends on technology, what they use inside the machine cost goes up. What science they have used, what technology they have used in building the machine. So machine looks same outside shape-wise. When you suppose somebody says I want 60 meters reaching in 10 seconds or 10, 100 milliseconds, it can reach in 200 milliseconds or that they don't disclose unless you go in deep. That's why the machine cost, the more accuracy you want, more price you have to pay. More science is required, more technology required to build the machine. It is not that 20,000 spindle and 10,000 spindle will cost same thing. It is not. Suppose you want 10 micron accuracy slide, you want 20 micron accuracy slide, they don't cost same. Because you have to put a lot of effort, lot of technology, lot of elemental evaluation of just building. That's why it depends on cost, basically.
Another thing, many corporate customers, they insist for a specification of the material used as well. All the subsystems also. They will ask that the ball screw should be from THK. They will say that the LM guide should be from some company. All the switchgear items should be some company. So all that will add to the cost. So product is the same, but the cost will change. Why Samsung mobile and iPhone, there is a cost difference, but both of them performed almost the same. So that's a very, very marketing question. So everybody has their own profit for their product. They will fix a price, and yet they want to be competitive.
Yeah.
I hope, Mr. Jeevan, your question is answered, or if you would like to, ask a question.
And you want to make an apple-to-apple comparison.
You can't compare two machines directly, two OEMs. Unless you have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think his question is answered. So now, if there are any more questions from the audience, they can open their mic one by one, or you can raise the hand, and then you can ask, so we can allow one by one. And any more questions from the audience? We still have time where you can, any doubts we can have. I think this session specifically is done in such a way that while the material is shared with you, you may have a lot of doubts, as Mr. Balaramaya and Mr. Venkatesh was explaining. If you have any doubts, I think you can ask and get it clarified.
Other than the selection of machines, suppose you have some issues on your machine, production machine, you can raise at this point so that let us see whether you can give some inputs. If you don't anything about selection also, suppose some recurring problems are there in your machines, you can come back and tell me this problem I am facing really. How do you contract? How do you measure? How do you come out of solution? Let us see whether you can help from there.
Right. So we also have in the participants Dr. Devarajan. Dr. Devarajan, are you there? Dr. Devarajan? Okay, he's not there. I think Mr. Shiva Ganesh.
Yes, Prakash.
Yeah.
A wonderful session, and it is very fortunate to have Mr. Balaramaya as well as Mr. Venkatesh. So we got two stalwarts to help the segments, but still, any questions will pop up in the mind. So basically, when I am discussing with many job shops, see, one of the question which they usually, which I can able to understand from them is, okay, which machine I will buy? Okay, as you rightly said, straightforward. Okay, technical specification comparison will not give the right thing, and we have to skin what is available inside the cover is the thing. But main challenge what which they are claiming is, for example, as you know, the MSME sector especially, they don't know tomorrow what is the requirement which is going to come. See, once upon a time, sorry for a lengthy question, but what is the challenge is, once upon a time, if you take a VMC job shops, usually they will go for part machining or die mold. But today, the job shop, the same machine is required to be catered the part machining where higher productivity, as well as the die machining where the high quality is expected. So both the things to be catered by the same machine. That is one of the thing which they used to tell. Likewise, as Mr. Venkatesh said, another challenge which I could able to understand from some of my friends is, who are having a job shop. See, today they will be working with aluminum components, but tomorrow they may need to machine a steel component also. But when Mr. Venkatesh said clearly, they have to select based on the type of component, whatever they're going to machine using that machine. So such the challenges are there in the job shops, especially MSME. So
No,
what would be?
when you want to change the material, it is not that you cannot machine, but performance will come.
Okay, okay.
You can use the same machine for steel cutting also, maybe, but your performance always are different. It's not same as what you are trying to do with aluminum. That's what Venkatesh means actually. It is not the machine cannot cut. Machine can cut. Instead of taking premium cut, it will take premium cut.
Okay.
That machine configuration, machine may work for other material also. Certain differences you have to absorb. You cannot get that.
In fact, we educate the client that you please we also understand that the small tier 3 tier 4 entrepreneurs have this difficulty because they do not know tomorrow the component may change and they still have to survive. So they ask, but we do educate to them that if you buy a machine, like you ask for whether it is for a continuous job production or for a die mold, there are machines which can cater to both. Is also available from the machine tool builders these days.
Yes.
They are giving you a balanced product which can also do your continuous production, a volume production, or also for the die mold machines. These are available these days. Okay, so you have to ask for that, and then the die mold machines require a special features. So make sure that those features are available. Just like that, extending a normal standard machine for a die mold will not give you a desired result. So all this needs is basically an education to the client, because the tier 3, tier 4 clients are not informed so well, and this is a platform where we educate to them that this is what you need. So you can optimize your selection of the equipment, which can be more useful for from your future machining angle as well.
Very good, sir.
AMTTF will help you in that.
Yeah. So to specifically, what is the main thing is, as you rightly said, for example, the MSME when is going for a machine, regarding apart from the specifications or the features required for the control system, for example, AECC or something, regarding the mechanicals, to get a better quality related to die mold, as well as to get higher productivity related to smaller whatever the part machining components, what he has to specifically focus, he has to ask the machine tool builder, rather than the parameters what he has to check when he is buying the machine, common for both the segments.
See, die and mold, is where there is a 3-axis interpolation may be needed. And if you have a contouring application and all that, you need that AICC, what you just now mentioned. Okay, for a die and mold. And invariably for a die mold, you will run from an external bank of program, which is a huge program, because the segments are very, very small. One block to another block, the movement is very small, and the control has to respond to that. Machine has to respond to the small command, very small command, because one block to another block, the distance moved is very small, and in that also there is a plane change. So you have to have a control which is capable of die and mold, giving you a small command, and not only the control, The machine tool connected to it also should have the ability to respond to that small command. So all these things are questioned, and I'm honestly telling you, if those MSME buyers, if they approach us, we will educate them that what that is, what they should look for in that machine. We can give them a lot more. The rapids are not very high in those machines, so rapid, that is, you have to compromise somewhere. But there is a balanced output available these days, where a machine can be used for a normal cutting application to a die mold also. And die mold also has got variety of machines. What kind of a die you are producing. Quality of that also matters a lot. Just for putting a soap box case or a bucket and things like that, you don't need a very big accuracy. So the specification changes with respect to that as well. But we can educate. Very important is the message I'm telling is they can approach us to AMTTF, and we have the expertise to educate the client, and we are not very expensive anyway.
Okay, very good. And another one of the question on behalf of the job shops, what I used to get it, especially the pump sort of components or the wheel rims or the axle components. There is a confusion, even though it is a basic fundamental doubt. There is a confusion whether they have to go for a VTL or a VMC. So that is one of the thing, because if you take pump housing, it's
somebody has to say, depending on component. Sometimes both can be done. Sometimes you have to go for only one specific type, depending on application. That's why the person who is selecting machine should have knowledge of what machine behavior is there, what constitutes the machine things. So in such kind of doubts, they can approach us. We will try to guide them.
So that's what. So everywhere, some fundamental, any ready reckoner, is it available with AMTTF? So because why I'm asking this question, sir. See, as I told you, when main challenge is the job shop person cannot able to decide what is that particular component which is going to machine. See, for example, he is not expecting a universal machining center or a universal machine, but sometimes you need a machine which is to cater the requirements, the changes, either in terms of material or in terms of type of the component itself. So that is how any of the, for example, with refer to the actual your experience, for example, automobile components or the pump components or the valve components. So a machine should be able to capable to handle this hydraulic valve component as well as a monoblock pump or a pump component or a automobile component. Okay. So in such case, which type of machine he has to prefer? There such type of any ready reckoners which you can able to provide.
No, the ready-made document available for that. We have to come up with our experience and available information to the OEMs, what they can supply, suggest. Without knowing what component I am going to measure, we cannot buy any machine just like that.
Okay.
You have to know what I am going to do tomorrow, maybe some extrapolation you have to make. Otherwise, it's very difficult, because once you buy a machine, you cannot change all of them overnight. There is
No, what I'm saying is you should, if they give us a drawing to us, what is the component drawing, we can definitely suggest that what is the most optimum solution for a given a machine tool that he should consider. We can suggest that, and to also considering his cost. I also told you there are many components which can be done on a vertical machine, and many people end up buying a horizontal, which is a very expensive solution. So the cost per piece goes up, and for MSME it is a very important factor. Their revenue cost of tooling cost or a coolant cost, all that is very important. I understand all that, and I'm very sure if they approach us, we can educate them, and gradually this will spread. They will also understand that this is how they should look for a solution which could be futuristic also, because the market is changing. So you, to a certain extent, you can be able to accommodate the changes in the dynamic changes in the market. But obviously, there is a limit for that. Anything beyond, then obviously you'll have to look for an alternative solution, another machine possibly.
Yeah, right.
Because return on investment on a VMC is very fast. You can recover your cost very quickly, and your revenue cost is much less. But if you buy a horizontal machine, maybe the component can be done both on horizontal or vertical both. But you have to select that, that because your cost per piece goes up if it is done on a horizontal machine. So we can educate all the MSME clients how they should look for it, how they should look for including their business plan.
Understood.
Right.
See, the change is the main challenge for them. That is what which
Yeah,
we understand. Because
but that's not in your control anyway. No, that's not in your
yeah,
control. You have to gear up to that in whatever possible way with the available basket of machines.
yeah.
You have to do that, and I am honestly telling you, we can educate them, and we'll give them definitely a better solution than what they can envisage themselves.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Venkatesh
yeah.
and Balarame. I think a good discussion or a good the Q&A session which went on. I think it was very good because MSMEs have these doubts. And I hope this clarification has helped the MSMEs. And there is one more question from Mr. Ashish Chowda. Can you recognize yourself, Mr. Ashish Chowda? You are from which company or which industry? Oh, he is asking a question.
Yeah.
Which parameter you consider before purchase of the machine tools? So I think maybe Balramaya and the both have answered at length about various parameters to be considered.
The
If you
parameter
can,
which is only accuracy and consistency.
accuracy. Okay, he is from Sodex heat exchanger. So if you can be very specific related to this, then they can answer. But I think at length the topic was covered in terms of what parameters to be considered for the purchase of machine tools. If you have any specific doubt in this regard, you can open your mic and ask question. In case you find it difficult to type and ask.
Yes, please.
Mr. Ashish, would you like to ask? I think you can open the mic and start. Mr. Ashish, you can ask. I think.
Yes, sir.
Rather,
I have asked about the material compositions.
Yeah.
Suppose that our we have lot of the press hydraulic press machine is here. So which material is best for the toolings?
I could not get you. What? Can you repeat, please?
In our the organization, we have used a lot of the hydraulic press machines. Then which material composition best for the toolings materials?
No, I'm not able to still get your question itself. I'm not able to answer. What exactly you are looking? You want a material composition qualification or selection of material for a particular application?
Is application for pressing the SS plating.
Okay.
For which material is best? Suppose that they were the mechanical press machines. Okay,
No,
like the
basically, today I understand depending on your base metal which you are going to join, the base metal qualification has to happen.
hello.
Depending on which metal you are going to join by brazing or what is the application you are trying to do process,
Okay,
that will decide your base material composition will decide what type of joint material you are going to put onto that brazing or welding or whatever the way it is. Isn't it like that?
like the sharpening. Suppose our the tool is the damage. Okay, then which process we will do it?
I am not able to answer. I don't have any answer on that.
no, I think what he means is if the tool, the pressing tool has got damaged,
Yeah.
to rectify that tool, what kind of a machine to be used? I think it may be coming from pressing means basically die molding. I think related to that he is asking. If it is getting damaged, to correct it, what kind of a machine tool he should?
Like the welding process is possible is there?
No, it is for sometimes you can build the material again you have to process for your tolerances. No, there are variety types of material joining processes.
Like
Weld cladding can be done. What are the material you require? Then once you do any cladding or any brazing or any material joining process, then you have to manufacture to suit your tolerance again as per your tool.
okay.
Maybe if you can come back with certain application, certain drawing, then can discuss separately. If you have no solution, you can put somebody else who is known about it, who has got some knowledge about it.
Okay, I think, thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Ashish.
Please come back to me by mail. Let me see if somebody else can help you to further level.
So, for the benefit of audience, I think towards the end of this session, the BCIC Secretariat will share the contact number of and the contact details of the Mr. Balramaya and TK Venkatesh, so that they can send their questions if there is anything which is not clarified through this session.
Come back to us anytime.
Okay, I think I have one last question from my side. I think one important thing is on Mr. Sivaganesa also was asking about a template or some kind of a ready reckoner for selection. And why I take this point is already there are certain things like you have a DFMA, Design for Manufacturing and Assembly, some kind of a software which are available where the database of each machine is fed, and then based on what is the requirement of the component material, the specification of the cutting speeds and the feeds, if everything is put there and cycle time requirement, generally it gives you a choice of the machines. On a similar lines, whether AMTTF is trying to look at developing this so that it becomes more easy for the MSMEs to immediately as a ready reckoner to select the machines. It's on a long term, I'm just asking.
We have not yet done so far because we have not thought of that as of now. If it is required for the industry users, definitely let them contact us by mail. Let us see how far we can make it to what information they are looking for.
Because one of the what do you say, a very famous software which is used is a Boothroyd and Dewhurst software, which generally uses all these kind of things. But it's a well built library, maybe based on various standards what you are mentioning. To that extent, there is some kind of a ready reckoner for the user. Of course, after that, I think they have to go for the experts like you to further fine tune that kind of facility.
No,
If it is done.
the selection again is specific applications, specific purpose, specific machine type. But we have not done, we don't have any software like this so far developed. We have not thought of also. If some requirement is there from the MSME or user side, let us make an attempt to do it. We can do it. We'll do. Maybe if we can do the same thing to IMTMA, to IMTMA also we can do it.
Right. Yeah, I think we are almost coming to the end of the session, and before we close, we have, I think through the meeting chat, there are feedback form which needs to be given by each of the participants. Please fill up and send it back to the BCIC. And as a closing comments, I would like to invite Shivaganeshan himself to come and close this session, please. Mr. Shivaganesh, are you there? Mr. Shivaganesh?
Yeah. Prakash, sorry.
Okay.
So, first of all, I would express my sincere thanks and gratitude to Mr. Balaramaya, as well as thank you, sir, Mr. Venkatesh. A sweet surprise because I know him for a very long time.
Yeah, that's coming back.
Yes, sir. And it is a very useful thing. And really, your service is really wonderful, sir. And we expect the same thing in the future also. We will be continue to request you people to share your experiences in more and more ways in such forums. It will be definitely helpful for the manufacturing sector because machine tool should work in a collaborative and complement way. That is what which we feel because finally the component, whichever component which is getting machined, should meet the requirements and the customer should get benefited. So there is no complaining. So how to make the Indian manufacturing sector, either it is a job shop or a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 or the OEM or maybe, to get more and more from Indian machine tools, especially. Because I could able to witness with my experience in the machine tool for the past several years, Indian machine tools have grown to a greater extent, and really we are very competitive, and we are competing in a very good way in terms of many of the facts, and that is what which is the thing. And now India is really when we are getting the global informations, India will definitely become a very good manufacturing hub. So how the component which is getting machined in any of the manufacturing company in any of the machine tool should talk about the India. So that is what which I wish, and I thank once again BCIC supporting to have this particular sessions, and Mr. Prakash especially, who is very instrumental, and he was enthusiastic in order to support the manufacturing sector, and he is right person who is acting as a chair for the manufacturing committee in BCIC. So I look forward to meet you again in many of such forums and panels, which we wish to learn from you both based on your that is walk through talk. That is what we wish to have, sir. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shivaganesh. Thanks for BCIC's and the Secretariat, Rupa-san and Prithvi-san, for organizing this. And finally, thank you very much, Mr. Balaramaya and Mr. Venkatesh, for having given this kind of a session to our audience. Thanks a lot and good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You.